be samurai who defied a god. The final battle of Miyamoto Musashi. The waves lapped gently against the shore of Ganryu Island, their rhythm steady, almost indifferent to the duel about to unfold. The sky had begun its slow descent into twilight, streaked with the dying embers of the sun, painting the clouds in hues of crimson and gold. The air was thick with the briny scent of salt and seaweed, but beneath it something else lingered attention, heavy and unspoken. Miyamoto Musashi stepped onto the island's damp sand, barefoot. His clothing, loose and worn from travel, carried the dust of the road, and his unkempt hair hung in wild strands around his face. In his right hand he held an oar, or what was once an oar. He had carved it into a wooden sword during the journey here, shaping it carefully, methodically, transforming it into something lethal. Across the beach, waiting beneath the twisted boughs of a lone pine tree, stood Sasaki Kojirō, the man known as the Demon of the West. He was a stark contrast to Musashi, elegant, poised, lethal. His long, flowing robes, dyed in the deep blues of the imperial court, rustled gently in the evening breeze. His hair was pulled into a tight topknot, immaculate, untouched by the chaos of battle. But it was his sword that commanded attention. Monohoshizao, the drying pole, a blade nearly as long as its wielder's arm span, known for its reach, speed, and deadly precision. It gleamed unnaturally in the fading light, as if whispering secrets of past victories. Kojirō's fingers curled around its hilt with the ease of a man who had mastered death itself. He did not move, but his presence alone sent ripples through the very air around him. The duel had not yet begun, yet the island seemed to hold its breath. A test of wills. Musashi did not bow. He never did. Kojirō's lips curled into a smirk. He had expected this. "You kept me waiting," he said, his voice smooth, but edged with something sharp, contempt, perhaps. Musashi remained silent. He tilted his head slightly, studying his opponent, but his mind was already 3 moves ahead. Kojirō exhaled. Slowly, so be it. Without warning, he moved. Broom. The Monohoshizao flashed in a blur of motion, slicing through the air with inhuman speed. The force of the strike tore through the wind itself, sending out a low, keening wail. Musashi barely turned his body in time, feeling the displaced airbrush against his cheek. Too fast. Kojirō did not pull, pivoted, his feet gliding effortlessly across the sand, already preparing his second strike. Musashi stepped back, his wooden blade rising just in time to parry. The impact reverberated through his arms, a bone-rattling force that nearly made him stumble. Wood clashed against steel, and for a moment the world was nothing but the ringing of that collision. Bet something was wrong. Kojirō should have staggered. He should have felt the resistance of the block, the counterforce of Musashi's deflection. Instead, he merely smiled a cold, knowing smile and moved faster. His strikes came relentlessly now, each one seeking flesh, each one perfectly measured, as if guided by something beyond mere human skill. Musashi's feet dug into the sand as he maneuvered, evading by mere inches. The blade passed so close to his throat that he could feel its cold breath on his skin. This was not normal. Kojirō had always been formidable, but this was something else. And he saw it the shadows. Not Kojirō's, nor his own, but something other, flickering, twisting, moving unnaturally against the sand, stretching toward Musashi like unseen hands, reaching from another realm. A whisper rode the wind, a voice not of this world. The edges of reality itself seemed to tremble, and suddenly Musashi understood. Kojirō was not fighting alone. The battle against 40th Island had become a place of gods. Somewhere beyond the veil of mortality, a presence watched not just as an observer, but as an arbiter. It had chosen its champion, and it was not Musashi. Kojirō's blade moved with unnatural precision, each swing guided by an unseen force. The whispers grew louder, an ancient, wordless chant, pulsing through the air, through the sand, through Musashi's very bones. A test, a trial, but Musashi had never been one to bend to fate. Bah! He gritted his teeth, tightened his grip on his wooden blade, and stepped forward. Kojirō struck again, his sword a silver blur, cutting through the dimming light. Musashi did not dodge. Instead, he moved in, closer than any sane warrior would dare. Stepping inside the arc of the swing, the wooden sword whipped upward, a single, decisive motion. The world seemed to slow, then impact. The o'erturned blade struck Kojirō's skull with a sickening crack. The demon of the West staggered, his eyes wide, his expression frozen in disbelief. The unnatural shadows recoiled, their whispers turning to shrieks before fading into silence. Kojirō collapsed. The god that had guided him withdrew, vanishing like mist beneath the first light of dawn. The island, once heavy with unseen presence, now felt empty. Musashi exhaled, the breath ragged in his throat. He stood over his fallen opponent, watching as the life faded from his eyes. He had won, not just against a man, but against the will of something greater. Musashi turned without another word, stepping off the beach and into legend, leaving behind an island that would whisper his name for centuries to come.